Scott. Hello, Kevin. How are you?
Hi, Kanya. Great catching up after such a very long time.
No,
Yeah,
it's been years. Are you well?
absolutely, absolutely. And for those who don't know Kanya, I've known her since she was a very young girl.
Listen to you. You were my lecturer at some point, eh?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
And it's so weird because even on my LinkedIn page, when I put up, that I'll be talking to you, I actually had quite a few people who said, "Hey, he used to be my lecturer." So I said, "Oh, so you
yeah,
taught a
yeah.
lot of
No, no.
people in your
I'm
life."
actually surprised because I started lecturing a year after I finished my LLB. So
Mm.
yeah, so some of the people who had actually been students with us, some of us ended up being my students. So
Yeah.
so it was just weird, but yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
those are the days of the great and mighty University of
I'm
Natal.
telling you, hey? Those
Mm.
are the days. But I think, Kevin, before we get into the actually your career, but maybe let's talk and maybe school us off the bat, because I know there's a difference, ne? Between a lawyer, an attorney, and an advocate. So educate us, what are the differences? Because I know you're an advocate.
Well, advocates typically are more litigation specialists. They communicate. They hardly communicate directly with clients.
Hmm.
They get briefed by attorneys.
Hmm.
And of course, historically in South Africa, it's been a two-layered process where someone will will go to an attorney, give them their problems,
Yeah.
and then the advocate will litigate and argue their
Okay.
case on their behalf.
Okay.
But since about 2014, is it 2014, since the new Legal Practice Act,
Hmm.
there's been a bit of I wouldn't say mudding of the water, equalizing of the two, if I can put it that
Okay.
way. And so attorneys do a lot more of what advocates do than they used to before. They even appear in the high courts. They do a lot of things. Uh, but of course, attorneys, as you know, are the people who can also be conveyancers. They can finalize your property transactions, etc., etc.
Hmm.
So I have been more in my career post. Of course, I've done a lot of academic work, but I've also
Yeah.
been more of a state advocate
Hmm.
in my work. I've done
Hmm.
a lot of state work
Hmm.
over the years,
Hmm.
and so it's actually I like to think of us as more gladiators for justice, regardless of what level we are and what title we have.
Hmm.
You know, I always like to talk about leading without a title because titles come and go.
Yeah, yeah, okay. And Kevin, how did you choose your area of law? Because I know, I mean, you mentioned there's many different legal areas that you can go into.
Yeah, most of these things kind of chose me. I think, I
Mm.
remember when I was studying my LLB, I was offered an opportunity to go and study overseas, Georgetown and
And you gave that up?
Cambridge. Yeah, and I took it. I took it,
Okay.
and of course, sometimes then you come back and you're given a course to teach. Maybe someone is not available. They say teach commercial law, or
Yeah.
next thing you're asked to do human rights, and in the process, you build an interest sometimes. Uh, you know,
Mm,
in a very weird fashion. I remember one time when I was lecturing at Wits,
mm,
uh, there was no one for mining law, and I had to step in for a very long time,
sure.
and also one time stepped in for 2 months with the great Professor Michael Katz.
Wow.
And to this very day, I know company law because of him.
Wow.
So there are many things that you just in the journey of life, you
Mm,
find yourself. Uh, Life is really a series of coincidences,
yeah.
uh, and for me, that's basically what I have liked to take, and of course, series of coincidences, gains,
Mm.
losses, which I like to really now. I like to call my losses lessons now
Mm.
because I used to see them as losses, but
Mm.
now I call them lessons.
Mm.
Change the L.
Change the L. I love that. And maybe let's get right into that, Kevin. So, what have been some of the lessons? There's somebody out there who's obviously either just started within a career similar to yours or wanting to go into a career like yours. What are some of the lessons that you've learned along the way?
Many of the lessons from my career is that shortcuts are not a good idea.
Mhm.
And I've been very fortunate in the sense that I have seen the worst of humanity and the best of humanity. So you see, uh, if I look at my more recent role with public protector as deputy public protector, we saw a lot of shady behavior. Even after that,
Mm.
you're doing a consultancy, you're doing this, you see something that is very, very bad, and people are doing it, and you imagine what if you you were caught up in something like that. So
Yeah.
so you basically have to really pause every time.
Mm.
I think many of us, including myself, many very often with the enthusiasm of youth and just excitement about things,
Mm.
when they say you love things,
Yeah.
uh, you just rush and you take an opportunity. But I think it's very important to pause
Mm.
and ask yourself, is it something that I should be doing?
Mm.
Is it proper? Is it regular?
Mm.
Uh, what's in it for me? Of
Mm.
course, I'm not saying that I've always gotten it right. I've done many stupid
Sure.
things,
Sure.
So
Yeah.
and of course, those are lessons from that. But fortunately, not stupid enough to get me into too much trouble.
Yeah.
Uh, so
Thank
so
goodness.
so so because because there's stupid and there's stupid extra
Yeah.
or unethical, criminal,
Yeah.
whatever. So you make
Yeah.
sure that things are not, you don't get yourself into criminal activity, you don't
Sure.
get yourself into things that you regret later on in life. And
Yeah.
that's very important because there's a lot of pressure from people to live well, right?
Mm.
Like in most of the cities that we live in, uh, in this era of Instagram, people are
Mm.
posting their holidays in New York and Bali and whatever, and they
Mm.
live in nice houses
Mm.
and so forth. So the temptation for most people is to also get that. They also
Yeah.
want that. So
Yeah.
the question is, how do you get it in a proper, fair, and ethical way? We're not
Yeah.
saying that you shouldn't get it, but
Yeah.
how do you do that?
Do that.
I'm reminded by the recent clip of the lady, the young CEO who she denies it, but they wanted to bribe a journalist,
Mm.
and they were caught on camera doing that.
Mm.
So when you
Wonderful.
get to that stage, there
Mm.
are some points of no return that you can't even justify yourself. And you've seen all these commissions in South Africa with all these stories and
Mm.
people, uh, and of course, yeah. So the big picture for me is really, can you look at yourself in the mirror and
Yeah.
say,
Mm.
I've earned this, or I'm
Mm.
proud of myself.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm admitting, as I said, that we all make mistakes and we have
Yeah.
to come back from them.
Yeah.
But then there are things that really affect people's lives. They say when you steal from the poor,
Mm.
or you know, or
Mm.
that kind of stuff is really too much. You
No,
see,
for
so
sure.
so yeah, so there's a lot that you have to do
Yeah.
that requires introspection.
So,
So as I said, I think life is a series of coincidences, and obviously how we manage them. And of course, um, I consider myself to be a person of faith. So there's that biblical verse that says God's mercies are new
every
morning,
day.
every
Yeah.
morning.
Every
So
morning.
so so
Yeah.
so so, and I'm not even trying to proselytize or preach to anybody, but
Mhm.
I think that applies to anyone, regardless of their faith. Whether even people who are not of faith,
Yeah.
when they're faced with a life changing prospect like a terminal illness or a serious accident, all of
Mm.
a sudden all this comes back to them. You know,
It's true. It's very
yeah,
true.
they remember such things.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying. One of my lessons is now to maximize my days, which is something
Yeah.
I never used to really think much of before. You
Mm.
know, when you're
What does
younger,
that
everything is
mean?
just so,
And what does that
you mean
mean, Kevin?
maximizing your days.
Hmm.
Well, you've got 24 hours in
Mm.
the day.
Mm.
So does Elon Musk. So does Jeff Bezos.
Yes.
So does Cyril Ramaphosa.
Yes.
So the question then for us is, how do these guys get to do so much? They've
Mm.
got two eyes, two ears, same set of 10 fingers that we have. Okay,
Yeah.
sometimes maybe if AI will give them one more finger, but the the reality is
They're
that
not very different from us. Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
So over time, I've started thinking, but how did these guys get to do so much more and achieve so much more? It's only more
Mm.
recently, the light bulb moment, where you're like,
Mm.
okay, maybe the idea of sleeping in is not a good idea. There's Robin
Mm.
Sharma and his book 5 a.m. Club, and so
Love
many other
that.
people have written about such things.
Yeah.
That it's probably sleep is important, but you can't really spend a third of your life sleeping. You
Yeah.
know,
True.
uh, and so kind of maximizing for me is really
Mm.
uh, trying to optimize the benefits from the opportunities that one gets. It's not
Mm.
something that I've always done effectively in the past, and
Sure.
I've squandered many opportunities, I must say, in the
Sure.
past, and which obviously there's a lot of regret. But I think if you still keep waking up, there's still
Mm.
a chance. So
Definitely.
that's basically how I see this.
I love
As
that.
long as you're still walking and breathing,
Yeah.
there's a chance to take another stab at it. Even if I always say, even if you reach rock bottom, there's it's
The
fine
only
because
way is up. Yeah.
it can only be there's
Only go
only the
up.
way up.
Only go up. Only go
Yeah.
up. I love that, Kevin. So maybe just still talking about what you do. So maybe typically in your day or a week, what does that look like for somebody who wants to do what you do?
Well, currently I'm an academic head of a law school, but I also have a consultancy which
Mm.
sometimes gets very serious gigs.
Mm.
So I have to juggle those dynamics, and of course, so as I've indicated that more lately, I found myself not being the sleeping in type.
Mm.
I've done that before, and it's not a very worthwhile exercise.
Mm.
So I'm usually now up 4 or 5 a.m. I'm up, you know.
Mm. And you're looking great, Kevin. Huh? You really are, yeah. It's working.
Yeah, 4 or 5 a.m. I'm up, and I have to, hit that fat burn and
Yeah.
you know that exercise
Yeah.
going and all that, and
That's awesome.
punish that body a bit
Yeah.
for the next 2 hours, and then
2 hours.
you
Wow.
know I usually listen to some devotion in the morning,
Hmm.
and then I will get my work thing going. Uh, you know, one of the benefits I think from post-COVID remote work is that you can do a lot of these things sometimes in one space
True.
and be very productive, work hard,
Yeah.
also take care of yourself hard in
Yeah.
the same space. So which is and maybe just obviously a gym membership is something that I use quite more seriously now. I never used to, there was a time when I also used to just donate to this
Yeah. Donate to the gym.
organization.
Your money's gymming.
Yeah. And then I think I there was a light bulb moment that I said, no, this enough is enough. So and then I
Yeah.
started using it, and
That's awesome.
you'll be surprised how much you achieve when you start doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ne?
And then of course I as I said, I usually like to, sometimes I write them down, the tasks
Mm,
that I need to get rid of
mm,
one by one. But bad habit is I usually make a mental note of it.
mm,
And of course I use my tablet a lot for that,
mm,
and my phone. So I use the phone. People have phones take a very bad rap,
mm.
and gadgets, but I use them quite effectively,
Actively,
in the
yeah.
sense that I'm
Yeah,
always,
some great
you
tools.
put your notes there, you put your alerts so
Yeah.
that you don't forget. I never forget, even I think Kanye's birthday is it somewhere around 27
Uh,
February or somewhere there,
no,
or
Kevin,
28th
it's the 8th of October.
of October.
Yes,
Okay, somewhere there.
yes.
Yeah. So, but I have it somewhere.
You do, and you always
It is
wish me happy
recent.
birthday. Yes,
I did, right?
you did.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes, 8th of October. Yes. And yeah, so because of that, the
Yeah.
alerts always tell you.
Mm,
It will
yeah.
pop up, and then you look good.
Listen, I've never had a good memory ever, and I've never relied on my memory. I write everything down, and that keeps me on track in terms of what I need to do. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you have to use the tools that are given to you. Kevin, tell me,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
what?
absolutely.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
what
and that's
advice?
the advantage.
Yeah. So what
Yeah.
advice would you give to someone who's possibly starting out um in law or just the legal field? What advice would you give them?
My advice right now is that it's getting becoming a crowded field, eh?
Mm.
Because I'm one of the culprits. Started at law school about 3, 4 years ago, fully
Mm-hmm.
accredited with a lot of
Mm-hmm.
students, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of people just coming in there, and obviously those will be law graduates. So
Mm.
it's not enough for you to be a law graduate anymore. It's nice, yes,
Yeah.
but you're just going to have to stand out.
Okay.
When you get into that room, people must say, "Hey, who's this woman?" You
Okay.
know?
Yeah. And how do you do
Uh,
that?
yeah. And it's basically a lot in terms of just how you relate to knowledge, you relate to people,
Mm.
how you basically uh, engage a certain level of discipline, being conscientious,
Mm.
being uh, dedicated to your craft, and also, because a lot of people just, we've all been there before, where we just, okay, we
Mm.
just want to pass this thing and get it
Mm.
out of the way. It's
Mm.
fine. But
Mm.
unfortunately, in this competitive space,
Yeah.
uh, it's not enough unless you are Bill Gates' son or daughter,
Yeah.
uh,
Which most
or
of us
he's your
aren't.
uncle. Yeah, exactly. So it's very few people who can get away with. But
Mm.
even they,
Mm.
uh, you see that the approach, uh, that, for example, I don't know Bill Gates personally, but I see his manners and his habits.
Mm.
For with all his wealth, he's
Mm.
not always popping champagne bottles and dancing on tables and
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
With all his money.
Yes.
Uh, so 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 there's a certain level of discipline that comes with that.
Mm.
Uh, that makes these guys thrive in a way that most of us wonder how they do it.
They do it, yeah.
And so I'm not saying people will be billionaires, but they can
So,
thrive in their own unique way in their communities. So, and be good examples, be good sons, daughters, aunties, uncles, nephews,
yeah.
nieces, etc.
Yeah.
Uh, so, 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 so there's part of that as well, and
Yeah.
of course, uh, I think the idea of people being less selfish. I think, because I just find that
Mm.
most of the time when people do things just for their pure enrichment, it
Mm.
usually goes. awry very quickly. So obviously, if there's an end to what you do that transcends you,
Yeah, love
including
that.
empowering
Yeah.
people, you know, mentor a young girl somewhere, mentor a young boy somewhere,
Mm,
you know, get someone to even if it's, you know, someone in your family or
mm,
something like that, you
mm,
could just make a difference. And remember, younger people emulate their parents. You know,
yeah.
it's so weird that many of the mannerisms that my father used to have, that I used to think, what's wrong with this man? I
Mm.
actually have those mannerisms sometimes, two times. So so you be careful how
Yeah.
what kind of example you set around. So usually, if it's a good thing, then it can
Yeah.
be multiplied,
Yeah.
and you know, turns into the kind of right passions and
Yes.
so forth. So I think that's basically what I think, you know,
Yes.
helps people
Yeah.
become better. And of course, as I said, we all trip. I'm not trying to say
Perfection. No.
yeah. So we all trip, we fall, we
Mm.
stumble, but then of course the idea is to, obviously, one has to dust themselves
Mm.
and get moving again.
Mm. No, I love that, Kevin, because I'm a strong believer that you're not born for yourself. Do you know what I mean? God placed you on this earth and gave you certain gifts so that you can actually
Yeah,
take those gifts and actually and share them with the rest of his people. So,
yeah,
and I also am a strong believer that this whole me culture, it's like it's actually created so many problems. Do you know what I mean? Because people are so obsessed about self. Whereas if you actually just not forget about yourself, but also just look outward more than you look inward, I think
yeah,
we'll
yeah.
be a better
Yeah, I'm
world.
going to use a bad example, which obviously doesn't apply to everybody, but I've been asked to assist with a few divorces.
Mm,
And very often the
mm,
the statement that I always hear
mm,
is, this person is selfish.
mm,
This person is selfish. They don't think about me.
mm.
Either way, you know, whether it's a man or a woman, they
Woman, yeah,
always, and I'm not saying that's always the case,
yeah,
but it props up in all forms of human behavior, whether it's professional behavior or personal behavior.
mm,
It always comes up.
mm,
So obviously, somehow there's a way in which we also just need to also, you know, think of ourselves as part of a community and
yeah,
part of a, and of course, uh, the African concept of Ubuntu Boto,
mm,
which we now exporting everywhere, is
mm,
a person through others and because of others and so forth. So
yeah,
so so even the word says, "Do unto others as you like them do unto you,"
for
and I think,
sure.
yeah, there's so many other examples, but we obviously sometimes forget that,
Mm,
and until someone just really burns you hard, that's when you
yeah,
you know what it's like. Uh,
yeah. I'm telling you. Kevin, you mentioned earlier something around mentorship and coaching. So what are your views around coaching and mentorship?
yeah, it's a great idea, and of
Mm,
course, which has to be managed cautiously. Uh, you know, choose the right mentors, and don't just. I'm not keen on people just approaching strangers, willy-nilly strangers, and say, mentor
mm,
me, mentor me.
mm,
It's not always a good thing.
mm.
Which is why a lot of sexual harassment and other things come
Uh,
through from that.
mm,
I dealt with a few cases where people have had the situation where they thought someone was
sure,
a trustworthy uncle or
sure,
whatever, and then this person starts being funny on them. So
sure.
you have to be very, especially young women, have to be very cautious on the kind of um,
That's great
people they
advice.
consider to be mentors.
Yeah.
Preferably look at another a woman who has done well,
Mm,
and so forth. And I'm saying this because I've seen a lot of bad examples where someone thinks someone is a mentor and then they're actually a predator.
Yeah.
So, uh, but the point is it's really good, obviously, if you see someone who's doing well. So, and there's also some sort of quiet mentoring, just watching someone from a distance. You don't even have to meet a person. You can even just mentor yourself by observing how someone has done their
Mm.
things and how
Like,
they have, what have they studied, where, what,
yes.
you know, what kind of, people do they surround themselves with.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of examples out there that I think you don't even have to meet the person.
Yeah.
It, it, it,
Even
it,
reading
it, it,
someone's
it,
book, right?
yes,
Yeah.
reading. I mean, I have a library of my own, and there are
Mm.
books that I'm always looking at one book or the other, and yeah, you can get mentored by a book
Mm.
or, someone you have never met, just
Mm.
their life story or what they're suggesting.
Mm.
And of course, for me, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't want to preach to anybody, but being a person of faith as well
Yeah,
helps a lot,
it does.
because a lot of people talk about going to the shrink, etc., which is fine.
Mm.
But if your outlet is strictly human beings, you will be
Yeah,
very disappointed.
100%.
So human beings didn't bring you here. They won't take you out of here.
Yeah.
So for me, there's also that extra layer of faith
Yeah.
above to say, look, and he never lets you down.
Mm. Never,
Even when
ever.
human beings,
Never,
even when
ever.
human beings, sorry,
I'm saying
yeah,
never, ever. And humans are
never ever.
fallible, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
Mm.
as I said, a lot of the things that people that are happening. There was that terrible story of the ambassador, allegedly taking his own life.
Mm.
A man who had everything.
Mm.
If you think about life in Paris and the good
Mm.
stuff, and
Mm.
he has the perfect wife,
Mm.
because I've
Mm.
met his wife
Mm.
years ago. Very
Mm.
accomplished, intelligent woman. Uh, Headed the National Empowerment Fund and did all.
Yes.
He had everything. So
Mm.
now you have someone like that who has everything.
Mm.
You know that life in Paris, that's a dream job for many people.
Yeah.
But still, that person couldn't cope. And I'm not undermining mental illness or anything like that.
So,
So, which means that there's obviously a need for that spiritual connection and that faith that says, okay, when you are at at your lowest, where do you go?
mm.
Who do you talk to if
Mm.
no one will listen to you?
Mm.
So obviously that's important.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
really
and
is.
and
Oh,
and of course, so people get caught up in chasing money, and they forget that, hey, look, ultimately, But as I said, it's not
no, sure.
it's not something that I can force on anyone. It's
Yeah.
people's personal choices.
Yes. Kevin, I'm looking at the time. I could die. It's almost time, but I've got one more question since I have you. And I think many people are curious. What does it feel like to be the Deputy Public Protector? I mean, the cases that you guys deal with, the stuff that you guys bring out of the woodworks.
Oh yeah, that was a crazy period in my life, and of course, as much as I've tried to, I wouldn't say distance myself from it or move on from it, it
Mm,
keeps on following me in terms of the kind of things that I'm asked to do, the trusteeships, the directorships, or whatever that I'm.
mm,
They tend to be ethics and conflict of interest and
mm.
whatever based and advising this and that.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's probably it is a life defining moment. As much
yeah,
as I might try to do other things, it always some of the stuff follows me.
Yeah.
And of course, it was also just an eye opener for people in the sense that they had never seen institutions being that effective and that
Yeah.
robust.
Yeah.
So,
Definitely.
so during the era of Tuli and then myself working
Mm.
together,
Mm.
it was crazy. I mean, we really found ourselves being faced with a lot of things. Of course, Nkandla was the famous one, but that's not really that. There were so many,
So many others.
yes, ordinary
Mm.
citizens feeling empowered,
Mm.
challenging the state,
Mm.
going after this thing.
Mm.
Um, you guys are only seeing Professor Mary Haas now,
Now, yes. It
and
was, it started
the
back
profs with
then.
the memes and the whatever.
Yeah.
I sat with her hours on end on the Cleveland's hostel thing in Umlazi, where we were talking to the so-called hitmen and so forth. So it's something that uh, you know it was a game changer in
Mm.
terms of
Definitely.
how things are done in this country.
Mm.
And of course, not just in this country, but internationally, because then we'd have all these visitors from all over the place.
Sure.
Recently, they just invited me for their 30th anniversary, and the whole world came descended on Cape Town,
Oh, wow.
right?
Yeah.
And and it was and that's how effective that period
Yeah.
was. And I suppose now people know that you
Yeah.
can take on the state,
Yeah.
that you have a right to have your thing not delay,
Mm.
that you don't have to tolerate a duplicate ID, you don't have to tolerate a corrupt mayor or city
Mm.
manager,
Yeah.
and so forth. And of course, it was a good time for the rule of law because I think African countries are mostly criticized for being draconian and disrespecting the rule of law.
Mm.
Um, and South Africa, I think, for all its problems, has
Mm.
done well on the rule of law front. Find a lot of
Definitely.
shady characters,
Yeah.
but there is a respect, at least still, for that. We're trying to. There is an expression of accountability. Of course,
Definitely.
some have said there's an animal farm vibe. Some are more
Mm.
equal than others,
Mm.
but there is a rule of law thing, and of course, like this guy is just being interrogated in one of the commissions, and someone was making a very very valid point that, hey, this guy, where he comes from, he probably doesn't get asked any questions, but here he will be
It will
asked
be
questions,
yeah.
and he has to account.
Sure. Okay. So we're still talking about the whistleblowers. Yeah.
Yes. So the saddest challenge right now is the fact that when you know uncomfortable truths, it's
Mm.
probably wiser to keep them to yourself
Mm.
or to just refer them anonymously to law enforcement. Don't be
Mm.
animated or,
Mm.
it's just
Yeah.
not wise.
Yeah.
It's just not wise. But other than that, I think the system is improving.
Mm.
And I see that there's a lot of changes in people's approach to justice. Everyone is more interested in issues of the law.
Yeah.
South Africa is very unique right now in the sense that
Yeah.
uh, remember 20 years ago, people would be glued to Days of Our Lives
Yeah.
and Bold and the Beautiful and
Yeah.
Generations. Now
Yeah.
they are looking at commissions.
My
You know
mother is retired. Listen, she gives me a blow by blow of what is happening with the commission right now. So, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's very unique,
Mm.
which that doesn't happen in a lot of countries.
Mm.
Uh, our mothers would be watching telenovela and things like
Yeah.
that before,
Yeah.
but now they want to know what's going on with these things. So
Yeah.
it's quite unique and interesting that
Mm.
there's that level of citizen consciousness, if I can call it that. So
Yeah.
that's a benefit, and of course, it's probably something that is probably going to replicate across the continent. Because the other thing is, uh, obviously, the one thing that South Africa has to um, deal with, and of
Mm.
course, is that people are living in a global village and also an African village.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see, right now there's
Mm.
this G20. All the African leaders are here. All the
Oh,
global
yeah.
leaders are here.
Mm.
Uh, you know, you just if you look around your lounge or your house,
Yeah.
the world is right there. You
Yeah.
might be using a Samsung TV,
Yeah.
LG.
Mm.
You've got an iPhone. You are
It's
driving
true.
a Japanese car.
Oh, yeah.
So so people who like to think insular, there's no place for them in future.
No.
The world
Yeah. Yeah. And
is
the
big
world's
out
like to
there,
become, yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
Sure, Kevin,
So
thank you so much. Thank you. You are a wealth of knowledge, and I think there's a lot that, our community is going to gain from our chat. Really appreciate your time. I know there's a lot going on in your life. So yeah, appreciate your time.
thanks so much, Kanya. And then I'm glad we made it in this
I
busy G20
know.
weekend.
I know. Me too.
And
Cheers,
as I
Kevin.
just, I'm glad I think you saved me from the rain because just as we're ending this interview, I hear
Yeah.
the rain starting.
Boring.
Yes, so I'm
Oh,
glad. I think you saved me from a lot of trouble.
see, good thing. The good thing you and I spoke today.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Kevin. Cheers.
Thanks.